thing is, dude, everyone, I'm not a seed guy. But you know, as a farmer, all of us are farmers.
Yep.
Everyone at the Forest Table, we make our living off farming. I'm fairly certain that I can say that neither of yours main income is the seed business.
No.
And so, you know, our highest priority is our farming operation.
Right.
And so, you know, you're a Taylor Seedsman and you're a seeds guy, you're Asgrow, Dekalb.
Yep.
And so, you know, I don't know. I just want to talk about, I said this a little bit in the last podcast. All of us are in our 30s. We're all married with kids.
Yep.
We're at this stage of life where, I don't know, man. You know, I've talked about it.
Yeah.
Sun goes down, you kind of start to get tired. You know, when we were, younger, I don't want to say young guys, because some guys will still call mad that you're still young. You know, I know.
Different stages of life.
Yeah, different stages of life. We're not in our early 20s. We're not Bean, where there is no time to go to bed. If there's farming, I'll just farm all around the clock.
That's what I used to do.
Right.
Being a single man, that's all you want to do. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
you go home
to
and
bed,
some
whatever,
midnight
sit
oil.
there.
Exactly.
I used to wake up in the morning to go to the gym at 4 a.m. and Ethan's lights would still be on out across the hill.
Yes.
And I'd be waving and be like, hey, buddy. So,
but I don't know. We're all at this point where I don't know. I think the young buck syndrome is worn off quite a bit. You know, it's kind of like, all right, our perspective on life has changed a little bit. We now have someone that we're working. We now have children that we are working to leave a legacy for. You know how. You know, I don't know. And I don't know how that ties into the seed business, but I was going to go to seed and then turn into legacy and all, because I was like, I hadn't clarified this, that we all farm.
Well,
we're all at the similar stage in life. And so I don't know, I just thought it'd be this podcast idea of saving our farms. We're all in different positions on our operation where, you know, so-and-so's managing, someone's not, so-and-so has this much say, someone this has this much say, someone's, you know, my dad's retired, so his dad's still farming, you know, and so there's a very unique mix. None of our operations are the same by any means.
A lot of different perspectives sitting at this table.
There's a lot of different perspectives, but the mindset is very similar.
Yeah. We have one common goal. We want to do good.
Yeah, we want to leave a legacy for our children.
Yep.
You know, you and I, all of us have talked about that.
I think it's interesting for me, or any of us here really, our grandparents, that generation was the most successful generation in ag. I mean, right?
Yeah.
And then our dads helped grow that. And now most of us, I think, sitting here, you know, it's here. You know, the baby's been born, so to speak. We just have to take care of it and make it better, maybe grow it, whatever. You know, I don't know. Would you guys?
I think there's more power in the maintaining aspect.
Oh,
I was just going to
for
say,
sure.
maintain.
It's hard.
Because like you just said, it's here.
We just went through a deal where we just got set back a whole generation just because of a bad estate situation.
Mm-hmm. One bad transition or
one bad apple.
You could set yourself, the whole operation, like you just said, back 10, 20, 30 years.
We set ours back 30.
It's easy to do.
We were clear up here, and now we're clear back to here.
Yep.
Just so the non-farming heirs could get wealthy.
Yep.
And then that's pretty much it. That's it. They got wealthy off the farm.
So many stories about that, and how many generations it took to build it to where it was, just like you said, to be set right back.
And, you know, we're working through it, and, you know, we're going to have to dig out of the hole.
It's scary.
It is.
It's very scary. We just completed a transition on our farm, and we're done over with, and it went smooth. It went very smooth. You know, you always hear the horror stories of how things could go bad, for example. And I'm very thankful we went smooth. You know, everything's done over with. But it's, to tail back on your deal, you know, grandparents, my grandfather started the farm in the 30s, 40s.
Yep.
And he started in a pretty rough time.
Right.
And then he went until probably late 70s, early 80s. Dad took it over, and he built it and just went nuts with it and did an incredible job.
That's what my dad, my grandpa didn't do hardly anything.
And now
he bought 20 acres. 20 acres. That I'm not bashing my grandpa whatsoever.
Yeah. Right. Same with mine. He wouldn't buy anything. He wouldn't go into debt. He was scared, but he went through the 30s.
I was going to say, you think that's all the depression?
I think a lot of that had to do
It's like risk. It's like that.
Same thing.
That's too much risk, because I saw, you know, that you could lose absolutely everything in your life.
Yep.
And so the risk factor wasn't there. The next generation was like, they didn't live it. They knew their parents lived it, and so they knew about it. They appreciated it, but were more risk takers.
Yep.
But yet lived through the 80s.
So yeah, we had the 30s. We had the
Our
80s.
dads are pretty close. My
Yeah.
dad's 70. Your dad's
65.
65.
Yep.
My dad watched farms go under.
Yep.
My dad bought a farm in the 80s and paid, I don't remember, close to 20% interest. And he's told me about that.
It's scary.
Yeah. And so Michael and I were talking about this. He's like, do you realize that was only 40 years ago?
Right.
So if it happens every 40 years, most people will experience that twice in a lifetime, once in a career. So something I saw this the other day. I wanted to read it. I follow Alex Ramosi on Instagram, and I really like a lot of his business principles, but I think it ties in really importantly that, a lot of us, the three of us were born in agriculture. You chose agriculture as because of opportunity from Chelsea's family.
Yep.
But it's a matter of, here's an operation. It was worked very hard to grow. People worked very hard to grow it, took risks, were successful, had failures along the way. I mean, I know, every operation, every business has failures. Just how do you recover and not repeat?
Right.
And so I just screenshot this. I told him, I'm going to read this. So how do we maintain what we have, grown, what we have received and grown, and then how do we pass that on so that it's an actual legacy? Because overseas, there are family farms that have been in families for hundreds of years, not 80 years, hundreds of years. And I'm like, man, what's the factor here? Why is that? Anyway, so it's no matter how rich you are, if you don't apply this principle, it doesn't matter. You can lose all of your wealth and everything you have worked for. Generational wealth is not created by assets. It's created by education. 90% of the time by the third generation, we talked about that. The first generation earns it. The second one maintains it. The third one generally loses it.
Yep.
90% of the time by the third generation, the wealth is squandered. The reason is that they have never learned how to manage or create more wealth, let alone sustain the shared wealth. If you want to create generational wealth, you have to teach the following generations how to fish, even if there are plenty of fish in the sea. I'm going to reread that. Even if there are plenty of fish in the sea. And you are, even if you're rich, even if you're very successful, history shows that if the generations following you are not educated on how to fish, the wealth that you have worked so hard for will almost always be jeopardized. Teach a man to fish after you give him one fish.
Right.
Type of situation. Yep. So I'll help you to here, then after that, let's learn how.
Guys, if you've liked the information that you've seen so far, go ahead and check out the full-length podcast on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe there. It's also on all the major podcast platforms. We're constantly dropping info and more content on all the social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Check it out for a lot more content.